southeast, so right along the Medina and Wayne County line, through Rittman area over toward Doylestown, up into Seville. And we are on the very southern edges of Wadsworth at this point. Probably going to give a little bit of a heads up too toward Canal Fulton and areas of extreme southern Summit County that this is going to be moving to the east. This is a smaller piece of what has been a much larger picture throughout the day today. I do want to give you an update on where we're at with the larger picture with the thunderstorms, because the thunderstorms continue across the area to cause a lot of problems. We still have a lot of wind damage that is being reported, specifically with this central chunk of this thing. So we go Portage County, Summit County, Medina County, back into northern portions of Ashland County. This is where we have the greatest threat right now with very heavy rain. We're talking inundating rain. This is flooding highways in some locations. I'll give you an update on that. But it's also producing a lot of wind, and then we've been throwing hail in there too, because we've had some reports up in Cleveland of ping pong size hail around the Parma area. So as mentioned, every now and then as this thunderstorm complex has been moving through, there have been areas where we've seen that little kind of movement within these thunderstorms. One goes a little faster than the other and they're moving all together. And that can create just that little bit of spin, and that is exactly what is going on in Summit County. Notice how Lorain County, Cuyahoga County, Lake County, Ashtabula County, things are much calmer farther north. Erie County, completely out of the severe weather threat now. Northern Lorain County looks amazing. We still have some issues down around the Wellington area. Into Ashland County now, up in the Nova area and down toward Mifflin over to Ashland. These areas have a severe thunderstorm warning on them right now, but that particular area right on 76, it's just east of 76. Let me stop the road. The looping, there we go, and down into Guilford Township, moving over on the south end of Wadsworth, the extreme northern portions of Chippewa Township too. So you can kind of pick it out right there. We've got the winds. The red is the wind that's being shown on radar. So basically the radar is seeing raindrops and all kinds of other stuff moving around. And because it's a Doppler radar, it can tell us what direction they're moving and what speed they're moving. So reds are going away from the radar. Greens are coming toward the radar. So you can kind of put two and two together and you get this little bit of a spin, and that will continue to move off with the general parent thunderstorm that is continuing to drop off to the southeast. So these winds are not expected, at least as of right now. This does not look like a humongous type of a tornado situation, but with the overall storm threat that we've had today, it was high winds, it was hail, it was very heavy rain, and then a lower threat for the tornadoes. And this is a perfect example of that threat. It's a low-end spin-up tornado that is embedded inside a much larger picture with very heavy rain and the very high winds that we have seen too. Let me back it out for you a little bit. We'll reset here and I'll show you what some of the reports that we've had around the area this evening have been. We've had numerous hail reports, upwards of 1.5 inches reported in Parma. As mentioned, a lot of hail coming down in North Olmsted, wind damage too. We have trees down, we have branches down. At last check, at least from what I heard in the newsroom, we had thousands of people without power throughout northern portions of the area. But of course, that whole thunderstorm line continues to move to the south. And as it does so, it has been prompting not only severe thunderstorm warnings because of wind, not only flood advisories because of the flooding rain, but we're also dealing now with a tornado warning in southern portions of Medina County and northern sections of Wayne County too. Now, Jason's been here with me throughout the day today. 50,000 without power is what we have now. That is significant, and we had 80-mile-an-hour winds reported in the Fairport Harbor area. There was a buoy just offshore of Fairport Harbor, clocked an 81-mile-per-hour wind. 50 to 60 mile per hour winds throughout western portions of Cuyahoga County. There's a lot of power outages and some light damage in areas of West Park and Fairport Harbor, Rocky River too. I do want to go to Jason because he has been keeping an eye on the bigger picture of what's going on. He's also been watching the chat to see what National Weather Service has been reporting as well. So Jason, is there anything in particular that they have been alerting us to?
You know, one of the effects that we've been talking about, Betsy, is the progression of this frontal boundary as it's been moving south and east across the area. You and I were just talking not too long ago about what seems to be a little bit of a slowdown with this system. We've had a lot of energy lofted up in the mid and upper levels with this system, but now we're dealing with a little bit of a slowdown, but all of that energy has to go somewhere. So it's coming down in the form of very heavy rain. As it hit the coastline earlier, roughly about an hour and a half ago, it needed to get some of that rainwater out, and this is just what it's been doing, not to mention putting down a lot of very, very high winds. As Betsy was just saying moments ago, we had a buoy reported of about 80, 81 mile per hour gust there at Fairport Harbor. In addition to that, we've had very strong updrafts that's also been keeping that rainwater elevated, prompting some pretty sizable hail. From a pea size up to a ping pong size hail, and that can do a lot of damage. Earlier, I tweeted out a hail chart from National Weather Service, so you can go to social and take a look at that as well. But I want to start by kind of showing you again this line that is moving through. Betsy's obviously going to be honing in on that tornado warning, but this really gives a good assessment that once we get this line moving out of here over the next hour or two, we really start to take our breath and reassess what those storm effects are. Betsy?
So again, we're really focusing in on a specific area right now of, just getting an update here. So the particular part that they are very concerned about was over Cruston. Now we're talking about the Rittman area. So we are just west of Doylestown. Doylestown sits up here, just west of there. So this is Benner Road. If you've ever been down to Johnson Woods, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous place to hike on these paths, they're elevated paths in a natural forest there. It's really beautiful, and we're kind of down in that part of town. 585 runs through here. So this is State Route 585. Kicks off north to 94, that goes up to the Medina area. 57 also goes up to the Medina area. So this particular circulation that we've been seeing, and that's what it is, generally a circulation, just within the last radar scan seems to have backed off in intensity a little bit. You can kind of see it's a little bit broader rotation right now than what it was even 2 minutes ago. We had a much smaller kind of a notch of that red coming in here, so that's some good news. But we are right at 57 and 585 and just west of there, Benner Road area. And then Doylestown is right up in here. So I think this stays just south of Doylestown, but it's going to continue to move out toward the Warwick Road area. So we are really focusing in now on northern portions of Wayne County, not so much the Medina County side of things. This is moving south, although that broad rotation does extend up into the Doylestown area. So that really defined back and forth, that, you know, we call it a couplet sometimes, when you can get a very high speed outbound wind and a very high speed inbound wind right together. And that's the point of circulation. You're not seeing that. It's a much broader rotation. So we know we have the possibility of rotating thunderstorms within this complex that we've been dealing with through the day today, but sometimes they just don't have that ability to focus in and really tighten up. And it looks like we had that tightening taking place, and then it started to back off a little bit. I'm going to zoom out just a bit, just to kind of reset. This is going to head over towards Stark County. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in Stark County. Notice that the tornado warning here, this purple box, ends at Route 21, which is, of course, the county line there. But you can kind of see this is opened up beautifully. So that is some very good news. A little bit of a sigh of relief here that we're not seeing that tighten up too much. But we still have that possibility here. Sometimes these things will cycle. It'll get a real tight circulation, and then it'll back off a little bit. And of course, you've seen videos of how tornadic thunderstorms work and tornadoes themselves. They are a living and breathing thing, quite literally, and they are doing their own thing based on how that wind flow is set up around them. So we do have these severe thunderstorm warnings that continue, and like I said, we have had a heck of a night tonight here in the greater Cleveland area, where we have not only had destructive thunderstorms moving through, a lot of power lines down, a lot of trees coming down in areas all along the lakeshore, and then farther south, but we've also had hail. And now we throw in this singular tornado warning here. You can see the National Weather Service trimmed the warning, so we kind of have a smaller warning. It does not include southern Medina County anymore. It is strictly in the northeast corner of Wayne County. So Rittman, Cruston area over toward Seville, and then, well, Seville is more Medina County, but we also have it that is down into Doylestown, Chippewa Township area. So that is just kind of focusing there. The rest of this, though, everything that you see here in orange is severe thunderstorm with those high-speed winds. And if we put the winds on the bigger picture, you'll probably see that it's a little bit different than what we had when this was going through Cuyahoga County, where we had very bright green wind cores going through. Now we're kind of seeing it open up a little bit. Still some high winds in Portage County, which is where we do have a severe thunderstorm that is ongoing at this point. Had a friend text me and tell me that they indeed did have some high wind that went through, a lot of very heavy rain too. And then you move out to the western sections of this line and it starts to kind of get a little more diffuse as we're getting into a different wind pattern here. But by and large, the alerts will kind of continue on to be reissued south as the line moves south. Another update from our earlier newscast, notice Tuscarawas and Carroll counties are now yellow. So they extended the severe thunderstorm watch. They issued a new one for southeastern portions of Ohio and southwestern Pennsylvania. So Tuscarawas and Carroll County, your severe thunderstorm watch will actually go through 3 a.m., although I think the severe threat will be way over by the time that rolls around. I think we're done with this thing by the time we hit about 10 or 11 o'clock. We are definitely seeing things trending downward in that too. And I am noticing off to the southwest of us, I know it's not necessarily immediately in our area, but it's kind of a harbinger of what's going on. We have an orange box with a purple border around it. That's another one of those destructive severe thunderstorm warnings. So we have color coding on these various types of severe warnings, and they're called indicator tags. So it's kind of helping the meteorologists identify the threats within these storms. And when you see orange with the purple border, that's an indication of 80+ mile-per-hour winds that have been picked up. That's what we had going on in Lake County, and Fairport Harbor ended up with a lot of damage this evening. So again, when we get into these kind of situations, I know folks are like, oh, well, why are you breaking in? Why are you doing this? Well, there's a lot of folks in Wayne County that really actually probably want to hear about this because they do indeed have their phones are going off and whatnot. They are dealing with these nasty storms. Everybody in Cuyahoga County have had numerous people texting me like that had to be a tornado that went through. It really wasn't. There was at least nothing that we could see on radar. It was just a big old wind surge that came through Cuyahoga County. But down here into portions, now look up here into the Doylestown area, there's a little bit more of a tighter rotation right there. So we are starting to see that trending just a little bit farther to the northeast. Let me zoom in a little bit more for you. This is going to go right into Doylestown proper. Beautiful little burg in northeastern Wayne County. And that is going to continue to move right along Warwick Road out toward the Route 21 line that's going to, of course, go north-south from Akron down to the Massillon area. Portage Street is 585 that cuts through here, so we are right at 57 and 585 in Doylestown. And again, that's going to continue to move off to the east. Marshallville, I think this is going to stay barely just north of you. I'd still get in safety spots if you're in Marshallville. Chippewa Township, you are in this very much as well. And as mentioned, we take this off here. I'll just kind of put this on. In the next 12 minutes, this thing will be into southern portions of Summit County and the northwestern, extreme northwestern sections of Stark County, just to kind of time it out for you because it is looking like it's moving about 35 miles an hour. All right, we got a new update here. So we've got a lot of high wind up in Chippewa. Look at this. This is starting to tighten up again, and it shifted back to the south toward Marshallville. So heads up for Marshallville. I need you to get in your safety spots here. This is starting to rotate a little bit better here, a little more organized, and it's going to continue to move off to the southeast. So back Massillon Road, we're north of back Massillon at this point. That may not hold. We are just east of 57. Orrville, you are not in this right now. But this is going to continue to kind of head a little bit more down toward Lawrence and then eventually Massillon, the north end of Massillon, if it holds together. But we are currently in Marshallville. Again, this is northeastern Wayne County and continuing to move off to the east. And if I back it out just a little bit, just to kind of show you, Akron is far to the northeast here. Akron is way up here. There's Barberton. Akron's way up there. Chippewa Township and Doylestown, Marshallville, Orrville farther south, you're not in it. Smithville, not in it. Wooster, not in it. And then Milton Township and up into Westfield Township, not in it either. But as this continues to move out toward Lawrence Township into Stark County, that's when we start to kind of, get a little bit more in the way of the population zones and whatnot. I know it may feel a little different for folks up in Cleveland that probably are like, well, why do I have to hear about Wayne County? Well, unfortunately, we don't have the ability to split streams, and we are, of course, obligated, and we want to tell people what's going on. We dealt with the storms here in Cleveland. We let everybody know what was going on with that, and as these storms continue to move off to the southeast, we're going to stick with it and continue tracking here. So Marshallville, the folks should be in their safety spots, and we have folks that are kind of popping in and out as they go about their business. They're sorting through the channels and whatnot, or they're just starting to go, gosh, it's starting to get kind of nasty outside. I'm sure you've done that. You pop the TV on just to see what's going on. Well, we are in Marshallville keeping a very close eye on things here. Jason, are you seeing anything else as far as, the wind flows and whatnot and these severe thunderstorms and the flood advisories? We've even got a flash flood warning for downtown Cleveland and Cuyahoga County. Can you kind of put this into a little bit bigger picture perspective for us?
Absolutely. For Betsy, so as you hone in on that, I'm sort of giving a good bear hug across Northeast Ohio. One of the things that we also are talking about here is the hail core that is embedded within that as well. So you can see where that severe thunderstorm watch is in effect, and I'll take that off for you right now. That hail core right now is averaging roughly around a ½ inch or so, which is roughly about a penny size in sort of diameter right now for this area. So this is equating to the fact that we do still have some rotation being reported on radar right now, but just behind that, around the Wadsworth area, just over near the western side of the Barberton area, Milton, around Chippewa, you are also getting not just heavy rain, not just some rotation within this thunderstorm cell, but also hail as well. So you have a triple threat that is happening in this area right now. I also want to highlight too, in addition to what we have going on down here in Wayne County, that Wayne County is the only county right now that we have this tornado warning in effect. But back towards the northern areas, Lorain, Cuyahoga County, we also have flooding threat in effect right now for you. We do have a new aerial flood advisory that came down from National Weather Service just minutes ago. That includes Cuyahoga, Medina, Summit County through 11:15. So we're still going to be dealing with this at least for the next hour and 45 minutes in terms of a flooding threat. Flooding is one of those threats that that is not just sort of a quick thing or one of the quicker things that happens when it comes to tornadoes. We have a duration, we have a longer period in terms of its effects, and also a very high cost attached to that as well, as you can imagine, along with a tornado warning. So again, as we are wrapping up everything, is one of the things that, again, the first thing we need to focus on is our friends down in Wayne County with this tornado warning in effect for you, no longer including Medina County as far as tornado warning is concerned here. But that tornado warning, again, headed south and east, roughly at about 30 miles per hour. This tornado warning in effect through 8:45 p.m. Triple threat for this area right now, again, is wind, heavy rain, as well as hail. Lorain, Cuyahoga County, Lake County, again, under that aerial flood advisory. So flooding, again, is one of the key components that has really been a major factor. And we were talking about it yesterday. We were talking about it today. A lot of heavy rain associated with that. Behind it, much drier weather. But the progression of the storm system as it moves south right now is still going to take a little bit of a period of time. This is at least what it looks like on satellite and radar right now. Erie, Huron County, you're in the green as far as rainfall is concerned, but you're also moving towards green rather than the orange or yellow in terms of a very strong severe weather threat for you, and even a strong thunderstorm threat for you. Lorain, Cuyahoga County, again, your major threat is going to be flooding. As far as our counties out ahead of this thunderstorm system, Stark County, Holmes County, Tuscarawas County, as well as Carroll County, the next half hour for you, next hour for you in terms of very high winds, very heavy rain. But again, right now, the tornado warning in effect for Wayne County through 8:45 p.m.
All right, so we, of course, are just kind of monitoring several different channels and different pathways of getting information. I'm sure my Twitter feed is blowing up right now. But here's the thing, these situations kind of evolve, right? And we've been talking about that evolution of how these thunderstorms have been moving, growing. There's a lot of lift that's going on. And when you get into these large complexes of thunderstorms, they are very complicated. And when you start to, really hone in on one particular section, sometimes it's hard to lose perspective on the bigger picture, which is why Jason has been so awesome in keeping an eye on that bigger picture for us. But by and large, our greatest area of concern remains here in northeastern portions of Wayne County. And as far as I can tell, that circulation is still kind of holding together here. We are north of Orrville, south of Marshallville. So we're kind of northeast of Orrville, right on back Massillon Road. That's going to cross over 94 right now, and this is kind of headed down into areas northern Tuscarawas Township. Massillon sits right here. Jackson Township is here. Lawrence Township in Stark County. And this is going to cruise right across that county line here in about the next 5 or 10 minutes or so, or whatever is left of that. Let me put a quick track on this and just kind of time it out. So we're talking about 20 minutes. It's going to be over toward Jackson Township and the Massillon area, Crystal Springs, Amherst Heights, if it holds together. Okay, so this is again where we start to see this thing kind of doing its own thing as far as, you know, it tightens up and then it kind of breaks down a little bit, tightens up and breaks down, and it's still kind of just using the environment around it, which is still very warm, very humid, so there's still plenty of energy for this thing to continue to go on. And again, we have not yet seen the extension of a warning yet for Stark County. I keep mentioning over here, okay, let's see, there's a new one, Stark County, there it is. All right, well, now we're kind of continuing on. As you know, you kind of get to the point where you're like ready for new information and it's not there yet, and then all of a sudden it appears. All right, so we have this chunk here that's missing. Remember, our circulation is sitting right about here, so they are adjusting the warning to go farther to the south. Dalton, you are now in things right now. This is likely going to head down toward the Bolivar and Zoar area. Brewster, Massillon, you are technically in this tornado warning right now. Bethlehem, you are too. US 30 cuts right through here between Wooster and Canton. So this is in a very well-traveled area throughout northeast Ohio. Orrville, technically you are in the tornado warning, but I think the greatest threat is just off to the northeast of you. There's our circulation, and we're going to kind of continue to watch it drop to the southeast. That's kind of the trend that we've been going through. Marshallville, you should see improving conditions very soon. Orrville, I know it's getting a little squirrely out there right now, so things should start to get a little bit better for you. But I'd say if you are on Back Bay Road near the Wayne County, Stark County line, all the way down to 30, and then farther south down toward Sugar Creek area, Mount Eaton, depending on which side of the county line that you are on, and Brewster is in there too. You folks should definitely keep an eye out and get to your safe spots. So this is going to continue just to move off to the southeast. I don't like to get too close in because I think you lose some flexibility with how this thing is going to move, but I do want to get in a little bit closer because sometimes we can pick up some better roads here and get a better idea. So currently in Bauman, and we have back Massillon Road, which appears to turn into Orrville Street Northwest in Stark County, across the county line, and sometimes they love to change those names. Technically north of Dalton at this point, but this could cruise right down on the northeastern end of Dalton, down toward Tuscarawas Township. And it will cross over then as we get into Stark County. So Route 21 runs right through this area. Of course, that's a big connector between the west side of Akron. Being a girl from Copley, I know that because Route 21 is a really big deal in Copley. But then it shoots you right down toward the Massillon area. It's a great way to get down into Tuscarawas and Carroll counties too. And then, of course, US 30 that runs through here, which is a really big deal for a lot of these counties. Bauman, you are in it right now. So Route 94, back Massillon Road, that is our area of greatest concern currently on the radar. And as we have been kind of watching this thing move about, it's traveling upon the winds that are influencing the thunderstorm and areas around it. We also have some pretty brisk winds that are showing up just north of Lawrence Township in Summit County and right on that Summit and Stark County line. And then look at Suffield Township. Hold on, let's get over here. into areas of Portage County. That's a pretty big wind surge. It's just now getting into Suffield Township, Uniontown, Brimfield area, down toward Lake Township. Hartville is in here. Marlboro Township is in here. And there's 224, so out toward the Deerfield area eventually. So that's some pretty high wind potential that is moving through Portage County at this point. If we put on our reflectivity, we take a look at the rain side of things, you can see there's also some heavy rain that is coming down with all of this, and that does include the south end of Akron out around Kenmore and Barberton, and then farther south toward Canal Fulton too. And then into Wayne County, we have been seeing that very heavy rain that is also moving through areas of northwestern Wayne County, out around the Canaan area. This is coming into Wooster, so this is going to ride right down on 250. Continuing through the Wooster area and then over again, Orrville, you have quite an evening going because it's going to be heavy rain for you folks for quite a while here. And then Smithville, you are also kind of in the crosshairs of that. But, you know, when we start talking about the tornado warnings, the nice thing about tornado warnings is often we kind of have a very well-defined area that we can really focus in on, and that's where we are right now. Just to kind of put it all into perspective with where this next severe thunderstorm warning carries us, Canton and all of Stark County is in a severe thunderstorm warning right now. That does include northern Tuscarawas County and northern Carroll County as well. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky because we have a jurisdictional change, right? So the National Weather Service office in Cleveland handles Stark County and north. The National Weather Service office in Pittsburgh actually handles all the weather and the official stuff for Tuscarawas and Carroll counties. The other part of that is we get into this area where we have a twofer. We end up, let me put on the velocities here. We end up getting two radar beams crossing here, and you know, just because the 1 mile north of the border is Stark County in a different jurisdiction, it doesn't mean that the weather will stop. So our area of greatest concern is here in eastern portions of Wayne County. That's going to head right down into the Massillon area, generally speaking, if that circulation holds. The circulation, for those of you following along at home, is right here. That is to the southeast of Doylestown. Doylestown sits up here. It's probably one of the larger areas that folks know. And then that circulation is just about to hit the county line area between Wayne and Stark counties. And then once we go farther south, we can kind of see it from a little bit different direction. So there's the beam from Pittsburgh. So we get a whole different perspective. This is the twofer part of it. We get the Cleveland Weather Service radar that gets to take a look at it. And then we also get the Pittsburgh Weather Service radar. And look at the notch that's showing up there. So you can definitely see a very distinct change in wind direction that is showing up here. Now,
Betsy?
Yes, sir.
I was just going to tell you, they just expired the warning for Wayne County.
Okay, so, but now we are strictly into Stark County. And I think that's interesting because the circulation is right on the border right now. So, you know, if you are sitting on the on the Wayne County side of the Stark County, Wayne County border, I would stay put if you're in your safety spots. But it's going to be more into the area of Stark County that we're focusing from here on out as that circulation will continue to move. We go a little bit farther north. There it is, right there. So that's an interesting little factoid. If we take off the winds and we just take a look at the alerts themselves, that is going to show you where that delineation is. That definition is. So we're expiring the old warning here. You said they're chopping off the Wayne County side of that warning. Our computer will update here in a moment. And then we're going to really focus in here on the west end of Stark County. There it goes. So that is that initial warning, the first warning that came out. That has since expired, and so we are still very much focused in western Stark County with the possibility of that tornado and tornado warning. I did see, sometimes we can take a look at a thing called correlation coefficient. I have to go over and hit a different button. I don't have that available to me over there at the green screen, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. And this is the correlation coefficient. So basically we're looking for anything that shows up in this sea of red that looks a little different. And if we back it up a few frames here, you'll see there's that little area that's within the tornado warning that we may have caught perhaps some leaves that had gotten kicked up or something, but that becomes a little interesting talk right in there. That would be a drop in the correlation coefficient. So that means some of these things are not like the others, and oftentimes that can be a sign that we've had some kind of debris kicked up. Now, whether that was debris from a tornado or that was debris that was kicked up just simply because of straight line winds, still to be determined, but we know that we have a lot of energy and a lot of power and upward lift that is happening tonight. Meanwhile, look at what is going on in southern sections of Portage County. This is some big wind that is coming in. Now, I know we are pretty far away from the radar at this point, so we are well above the surface, but these thunderstorm winds oftentimes will kind of collect in the upper part of the thunderstorm, and then they can come out as a downburst. So just north of Lake Township, right around the Deerfield, nope, not quite to Deerfield yet, Uniontown area, Brimfield area too, in extreme southern portions of Portage County and right on the Stark County line, Suffield Township, there's Randolph, Ritztown is up here. So we're Suffield Township. This is gonna continue to move off toward Marlborough Township. 43 heads up toward Kent. Waterloo Road is 224, they run parallel here. But this is some pretty high wind that is going to continue to move out toward the Marlborough Township area, and then eventually could get over toward portions of Alliance and whatnot. Sorry, I didn't mean to zoom in quite that close. Let me zoom out again. But this is a pretty significant color as far as the wind goes. Let me show you why. I'll put another track on here. Let me pull this up right here. And the wind's 70 miles an hour. So that's, granted, a couple thousand feet up in the air, but that's still pretty significant. It's going to head down toward Quail Hollow State Park. Anytime I see state parks on a track map, that's always making me nervous, because I know we have folks that get out and like to enjoy the great outdoors here that we have in Northeast Ohio, although tonight may probably not the best of nights to do that. But, you know, the high wind threat has been kind of part and parcel with what we have going on this evening. Lawrence Township, you have some very gusty winds that are coming through too. This is going to head down more toward Canton, so we get in between the Massillon and Canton areas. Jackson Township, I-77 corridor runs right down through here, so Akron-Canton Airport is right at that Stark County, Summit County line. And for those of you who love to fly out of one of the easiest airports in the world to fly out of. But there's some better news to see here as far as the wind goes. Now that the circulation is looking like it's broader, it's looking like it's opening up a little bit. Not only that, but we are starting to cross over now of significant note into Stark County, more specifically Tuscarawas Township, right on US 30. So the US 30 21, Ohio 21 intersection, that is kind of where the greatest threat is right now. So if you're in that area, you should probably get into your safety spots because we do have that threat of a tornado right now that is continuing to move through the area. I'm going to put a quick track on this as we're going to continue to move it off to the southeast. I think this is going to head a little bit south of Greater Canton, as long as there's no other circulations that begin to pop up. But there's Massillon, Perry, also Banker Heights. East Sparta is down in here. Bolivar and Zoar kind of down here flirting with Tuscarawas County a little bit. We have Alliance and Minerva that are sitting out here in eastern portions of Stark County. Alliance, you have a better chance for high wind right now. Minerva, you're still in the clear, but kind of get ready because you've got some big wind potential coming your way because this whole section of this thunderstorm is dropping to the south. Meanwhile, farther to the west into portions of the Wooster area and the rest of Wayne County, things look much better here. So we still have the possibility of gusty winds, you know, maybe some pea-sized hail and whatnot, but really the wind is the big thing with that. And then, of course, as we take a look at our alerts that we've been watching, there remains our tornado warning, our lone tornado warning that continues at this point. For western portions of Stark County. So, Jason, have you heard any reports or have you seen any reports of damage or anything like that that the Weather Service has been talking about? I've been monitoring Twitter as well as the National Weather Service chat. I haven't had any additional, actually, just right now in Summit County, roughly 2 to 3 inches at Canal Park with standing water all the way around the outside dirt track. So that is indicating the very heavy rain that you were just talking about just minutes ago as well. I'm not sure if you mentioned this. I was doing a little bit of research on my end, but also covering all bases for us here, Bets, is Medina and Wayne. Medina and Wayne,
let's see here. So they're continuing this tornado warning, I will say, for Stark and Wayne County until 9:15. Okay, so we know that already, but also that severe thunderstorm watch that was earlier for our lakeshore counties, that has now been taken down. You can see there on the map that has now eroded away, but also that flood advisory, that flood risk still looms for a portion of Lorain County, Cuyahoga County, as well as Lake County. And I will point out, I've been looking at OGO, it's a great resource website. Between Berea Road on 90 over towards Hillier Road, there is also a closure happening on the westbound side, and I believe at one point it was both the eastbound and westbound. So again, that is on 90 between Berea Road as well as Hillier Road, obviously a main artery, a very priority type roadway here in Northeast Ohio. So coupled with the very heavy rain, coupled with the damaging wind gusts that Betsy was just mentioning down in Wayne and Stark County, there is also a threat for some of the roadways, some of the primary and secondary roadways to be hampered by some of the flooding risks. This will be something that we're going to be dealing with for the duration of the night, and obviously once the sun goes down and sunset time is just about a handful of minutes away, this will carry us through the overnight hours and will definitely be a factor in the early morning hours for our early morning commuters tomorrow. So again, wrapping things up before we go back over to Betsy here, our lakeshore communities are no longer on the severe thunderstorm watch box, so you're in the clear as far as severe thunderstorms. However, you still have that flooding risk for the counties you can see shaded there in green. So a lighter color of that yellow indicates the severe thunderstorm watch still in effect for Richland, Ashland, Medina, Summit, Portage, Trumbull County, Holmes County, Tuscarawas, Carroll County, but that darker orange color indicates severe thunderstorm warning. So one of those thresholds, again, wind speeds above 58 miles per hour, coupled with the heavy rain and the hail threat, again, it is still a gnarly system, as we have down there, Betsy.
Yeah, and I just really quickly checked my Twitter feed, pardon me, and somebody mentioned Blossom. Jason Aldean has a concert tonight, and this has been something a lot of folks have been asking about. I do want to point out that the tornado warning is here in Stark County. We are well away from Blossom, but Blossom got rocked tonight, not by just the concert, by heavy rain, heavy rain. Heavy rain, and you know what happens at Blossom when there's heavy rain, there's mud, so get ready to have a big cleanup tonight, but also a lot of wind, and we still have this slight circulation here. Now this has been kind of tightening up and then broadening out. We're kind of in between that cycle now. I do want to point out that Massillon Township and Jackson, or City Massillon and Jackson, Lawrence Township, Perry is over this way. All of that seems to be just east of where this circulation is tracking. So that is some good news. I would still say, especially if you're in Massillon, you should probably be in your safety spots, especially if you're on the west side of Massillon. The circulation is just crossed US 30, so you can see it right here. And if we kind of follow the line with the way this has been trending, we're headed down toward the Sugar Creek area. So folks in Sugar Creek, it's time to head into your safety spots. Bethlehem, you're in this too. I would say it's probably going to kind of split the crosshairs here, if not head a little bit more towards Sugar Creek. We are starting to get to the end of the tornado warning right now. This has been rolling right along here. If I put just the alerts on, you can see we're just about to get to the end of that. So Sugar Creek, technically right now, you are not in the tornado warning. However, you have a tornado warned thunderstorm coming right at you. So this is where you don't have to wait for the warning to be issued. You do you can get into your safety spot. You don't have to wait for anybody to tell you what to do or give you the heads up on that. Meanwhile, into Massillon and Jackson and Canton, we have very high wind potential that is moving through. So watch out, we may have some power outages that are coming through there. But definitely seeing some little bit more convoluted picture here as far as the velocities go, the speeds of the wind and the way that the winds are moving. Now, I do want to move up toward the Akron area because we have been, of course, keeping an eye on some high wind that has moved through portions of Brimfield, Lake Township. This is right into Marlboro Township. Now we are starting to see this high wind coming in. This is going to be the possibility here of some wind damage, trees down, power outages and whatnot. and that will continue to move straight out on 619. So we're going to cross over 619 at some point. Louisville, heads up for you folks, you may end up getting clipped by this one as it continues to move southeast through Marlboro Township. We're south of Randolph at this point, but this is some pretty high-speed wind. It looks like it's, well, let's see, Hartville's Lake Township, Lake Moore Township, so it's a little bit farther west. This is Hartville out here with Quail Hollow State Park, but you can definitely see where that wind core is as it's continuing to move through areas just west of Marlboro Township. We're talking about 70-mile-per-hour winds possible as that moves through, so that will definitely have some potential to cause some big problems there for the folks in northern portions of Portage County, or excuse me, northern portions of Stark County, just south of Portage County. We're south of 224 there. Meanwhile, I do want to kind of zoom out even more and see what else we have going on. That seems, as of right now, to be the worst of it, is in Stark County, Portage County at this point. Southern sections of Trumbull County probably getting some wind gusts too. And then meanwhile, out here for Richland and Ashland counties, we've got a breezy, thunderstormy kind of an evening, but not necessarily seeing a whole lot in the way of any kind of twisting wind. As a matter of fact, you can see those thunderstorms have really died back. This is some great news, everybody. It's nice to see things calming down rather than picking up. It got a little testy there at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock as this line came in. We had a lot of action going on and a lot happening at once, and now finally we're starting to see this back off just a little bit here as these thunderstorms move off to the southeast. But when we get these bright colors, oftentimes that's the first thing that your eye is drawn to, and if you don't know what you're looking at, it can be a little bit over scary for what you need to know about. The other thing to remember, and I mentioned this a couple times, is we're pretty far away from the radars at this point. So the beam is sitting a couple thousand feet up in the air, but the way the thunderstorms work is what goes up will come down, and sometimes we get overloaded with updrafts, and then we get air that sinks very quickly and downbursts will happen. So that could be one of those situations that is setting up for us now. So the good news is in far western Stark County, where that tornado warning continues right now, it looks like things are starting to become a little bit more disorganized as far as that rotation goes. It's not gone by any stretch, but we are getting to the end of the warning, and I haven't seen anything coming from the Weather Service as of right now indicating that they are going to be extending it. I just want to get a couple more scans here before we send everybody back to programming, but 93, Ohio 93, and not quite to 250 yet, so we're not all the way down toward the Wilmot area. Wilmot kind of sits right in here. Beautiful little place, very small place. A lot of these are very small places, but there are a lot of folks that live out this way too, and people who know and love this area. You get into the hills and dales and whatnot, and Amish country and all of that, and so it really is a place where people have it near and dear to their heart. There's a new scan for you. You can see we have some rotation that's being picked up, but it's nothing terribly organized at this point. So we may end up kind of getting into a little bit more of a downburst situation where we may have some straight line winds that are coming down. That may be a little bit more of a notch, maybe a little disorganization. It's reorganizing. It can cycle sometimes, but that is, that southwestern corner of Stark County, Sugar Creek area. And then now Alliance is getting in on that high wind threat right now as those potent thunderstorms continue to move off to the east. New Franklin, and then you get into Minerva as well. Louisville, you're starting to really feel some of the wind picking up as well, getting into some of the heavier rain too. But the good news, I think, is that we really are seeing improving conditions throughout Northeast Ohio, not just from this round of thunderstorms, but overall our picture is starting to settle down nicely. Once the sun sets, it changes the way the atmosphere works. You have to take away the heat. So heat is an instantaneous, it's like lighting a match. Heat does amazing things in our atmosphere, and it creates lift, and it changes the way molecules move and the air moves and whatnot. So when you take that heat away, everything starts to kind of get disorganized and fall apart a little bit unless you have something that will override that overall feeling. So I think we might be done. Are we done, guys? Is that what you're... Jason Aldean canceled. Oh, I'm so sorry for the folks at Blossom. Let me just put this on here. Hold on, I'll get it. It's a button up here. Yeah.
I don't know if
Go
they
ahead.
have me. Okay, great. They have me up here. We also got a new aerial flood advisory from Mahoning County as well as Trumbull County. So again,
Oh, okay. I see that over there, Trumbull County.
Trumbull County through midnight here. And as Betsy, I'm thinking the same for you in terms of this thing perhaps losing a lot of its steam here. But again, once we get past, let's say the next 10 to 15 minutes here, we're going to be expecting an update very shortly from National Weather Service. We kind of need to think about how do we go forward here. So one of the things that we really need to think about right now in terms of its effects going forward is the power outages. And I believe we have a latest power outage map that we can pull up here. I think roughly about 50,000, just over 50,000 customers are now without power. So this is also a great time to just remind everybody you can always catch us on your mobile app. Okay, so we are there. You just punch us up in your browser. You can get all the updates here. You know, I think it's very easy to sit and watch and listen to us on the couch. But if you are ever in one of these polygons, you definitely need to get to the most central and lowest level of your home. Overnight tonight, considering some of these power outages, I think it's a really good bet that a lot of these power outages are due to some limbs down, some power lines down. Really scan the perimeter. If you're going out tonight, maybe you got an overnight shift, or if you have to wake up very early in the morning, it's still going to be dark out there. Assess the situation. Turn around, don't drown when it comes to water. If you see a power line down there, hey, get out of there. Don't cross over that at all. It could still be a live wire, or you never know what's going to happen here. Betsy, you want me to toss it back over to you? You got an update for us right now?
I literally just sent a note over to the Weather Service asking for an update because we are kind of on the end of things. Here is a look at the last 12 hours rainfall. Of course, all of this has really fallen within the last 3 hours or so, 3 to 6 hours. 2.2 inches, that is where Blossom is. They had 2 inches of rain that fell very quickly, so they just shut it down as far as that Jason Aldean concert goes. So stay tuned for updates on what's expected to happen with all of that. The tornado warning as of right now, so far, no update, but that alert does continue, and they keep hacking away at it. So now it's a very small area. That's good news. They haven't reissued, so it's not getting bigger. It's getting smaller. That's good news. We also can say severe clear for all of our lakeshore counties. Severe clear, with the exception of flooding. We still have areas that are flooded. If you run into flood water, if you're out and about, don't do it. Don't go through. We've had some cars stalled. As a matter of fact, on Route 8 in Northfield, we had a car that stalled and Northfield Road was closed, or Route 8 was closed down. So not very fun. If you see those big puddles and the person in front of you makes it, don't think that you have an automatic pass that you're going to make it too. But now that the overall threat seems to be diminishing, we can say severe clear for all of our lakeshore counties. I would say Richland, Ashland, and Medina counties, you are severe clear at this point. Summit County, you're severe clear with the exception of maybe areas around the airport. Portage County, I would say you're severe clear, but the rain is still coming down. You're probably still hearing thunder at this point too. And then Stark County really bearing the brunt of the bad weather right now in northern Ohio as far as where we have the greatest threat. Not only are we dealing with a lot of wind from Jackson Township through Canton, out 62 toward Alliance. Now you can see Randolph, you're not getting that high wind as much anymore, but northeastern portions of Stark County certainly are. And our circulation seems to become very much more, broken up. So it's not quite as defined, not quite as perfect as we had seen it before. We had a really good notch there, and it seems like this is definitely falling apart for us. So the rotation has weakened quite a bit. I did get an update from the Weather Service. They are listening. Not currently planning to warn downstream of the current warning. What's left of the rotation is near Navarre, so we're probably going to give it another couple minutes on that current Tor warning, which is going to take it down toward the Sugar Creek area. So that is some great news, everybody. I appreciate everybody's patience in following along with this. I really think our threat now through the rest of the night transitions from wind, transitions from hail, and now we just have to drain out and get rid of all of this water that we inherited through the evening, because we have picked up quite a bit of it. You saw that 2 inches. There's some areas that have gotten 3 inches. I'm getting some rain gauge reports from folks around Northeast Ohio that are telling me that they picked up 3+ inches of rain as that line 9 came through. So certainly we are still dealing with some heavy rain. There is the possibility for the gusty winds throughout portions of Stark County, but you can see that overall circulation, that little wave that we were watching, it really seems to have gone away, which is some great news. So here's what I'll do. Notice this little spot that just popped near Louisville. Heads up, friends, that's some high wind. Straight line, but high wind nonetheless. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hop out, send you back to programming. We're going to keep an eye on it. Of course, the weather services too. They do such a great job keeping everybody safe and informed. So Jason, we'll send it back to programming for now, but we'll keep an eye on things. But I think really the overall threat for the evening has diminished significantly from what it was just a few hours ago.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And again, reminding everybody, please be safe. We're now past sunset hours. If you're going to be out, or if you know a friend or anything that could be on the roadways, again, please be safe.
Yeah, please do. We'll see you coming up at 11 o'clock. We've got our reporters out gathering the latest on the damage, so hopefully we won't have too much to report in that regard, but we'll see you for what's next starting at 11.